Hello, and thank you for tuning into the Stuff I Heard podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Peak. How's everybody doing today? We are getting into June now. June has just begun. So, some things to think about whenever you're approaching June. Okay. I work in transportation in the safety industry. And one of the things to always consider is June is the time where a lot of people are out of school and they're going on vacation. They're heading to the beach, the lake, the mountains, whatever it is. So allow yourself some more time for traffic. Okay. There's always going to be traffic on the road. You got to plan ahead. You got to make sure that you're aware that there's going to be other people on the road as well. So maybe plan your travel at times where most people aren't on the road. Like maybe travel in the middle of the night or early in the morning to get to where you're going ahead of time. That way, you're not last minute being stressed or stuck in a situation where you're trying to get there when everybody else is getting there because you're not going to. You're going to be stuck in traffic and hating the fact that your vacation is starting off really horribly. So, give yourself some extra time. Also, be considerate of the fact that there's a lot of kids that are out of school, and some of them may be driving for the first time and this is their summer. So they're going to be out on the road and they're going to be, trying to get to where they want to go to hang out with their friends. And safety is not your number one concern when you're a kid. I mean, granted, it should be. But I mean, I remember what it's like being younger and, you know, the green light flashes in front of my eye of it's summertime and I just wanted to go. I wanted to go anywhere. I wanted to go hang out with my friends. I wanted to go to the beach. I wanted to go not be here. Um, the last place you want to be is at home when it's the time of your life. I mean, you realize that you're young and the future is forever and anything can happen. And you're right, anything can happen, including bad things. We don't always think about that, but sometimes things can happen. So again, be on the lookout for other people, plan your travel accordingly, give yourself enough time. Don't be in a hurry. Okay. One of the things I talk about in my safety class is clusters. Whenever you're driving along and you see a large cluster of people together, when they're driving really tight together, um, one of the questions I always give people is, okay, if you see a cluster, who's in control of that cluster? And people guess different things, and they're all kind of right, but they're all kind of wrong because the answer is whoever decides to do something wrong affects the entire cluster. Or maybe not decide, but whichever one of them does something wrong affects the entire cluster because they're so grouped together, they don't give themselves enough space to react. And it's a chain reaction that could have you involved in the chain reaction and cause you to wreck. So, again, just be careful out there. Okay. Now, with it being summer, let's talk about a few things that are going on. There's lots of outdoor events that are happening. Bands are playing concerts everywhere. There are comedy shows everywhere, some outdoor comedy shows. I have a few that are scheduled coming up. Next weekend, as a matter of fact, I'm going to see Tyler Childers in Alpharetta, Georgia with my brother. Now, my brother and I are 12 years apart in age, and we're several hundred miles apart in status of where we live. But we try to get together once a year and do something really cool, just the two of us. And in the past, I've not been able to do a lot of things just the two of us. We've kind of incorporated other friends or whatever. But I've tried to do something with my brother just that we can hang out. And this is an event that I booked and talked to him and said, "Hey, are you down? I think this is something time frame that we can do that's not in the middle of your busy schedule because he's doing a lot right now. He just took on a new job as a athletic director for a high school up in his area, and he's still trying to help them finish out the year with the school that he was working for, doing the other jobs. So he's doing two jobs right now, um, and with that comes a lot of responsibility on top of being a dad and a husband, and so on and so on and so on. So, you know, he's got a lot going on. So this is an opportunity for us to just break away, go somewhere, relax, enjoy a good concert with a singer, songwriter, musical talent, Tyler Childers. If you don't know who Tyler Childers is, he's got lots of songs that you've heard, mostly from other people performing them, Chris Stapleton and Luke Combs and stuff like that. But I don't know exactly the history of Tyler Childers other than the fact of every time I turn his music on, I can't stop listening and I search out more of his music and I'm just amazed at all of it. I heard one Friday that I'd never heard before called Play Me a Hank Song. and it's about a breakup of, you know, I want to basically he wants to hear Hank Williams Jr. or whatever. His heart was broke because at least it's nice to hear someone sing the words that he's feeling in his heart. And it turns a little darker towards the end, and he's like, I hope you meet the guy of your dreams, basically talking to the girl that broke his heart. And he says, "No, I hope that he's everything to you, and then I hope that he walks away, and then you're going to find yourself wanting to say, play me a Hank song so I can know how this feels." And I was like, "Oh, that's a nice twist." Anyway, I like his lyrics. I like his songs. He sings a lot about poverty and coal mining and stuff like that. And I made a comment to my wife. I was like, I don't know what it is about it, but I relate to it. And she was like, because you've done so much coal mining. And I was like, no, it's not that. It's I don't know, it's the struggle. It's the the moment where you find yourself up against the wall. And I'm reminded of conflict, learning about writing and stuff in school where they talked about conflict. There was man versus nature, man versus self. And we read Old Man in the Sea, and then we watched a movie um with Santorini playing the old man. And he fights really hard to catch this big giant fish, and he's so proud of this fish, and he wants to bring the fish back to his people. And then sharks attack, and he won't give the fish up, and it almost kills him because he won't give the fish up. And at the end, the fish is gone. And he struggled with all three things. He struggled against nature because the weather turns bad, and he struggled with himself because he's fighting to keep this thing that doesn't need to. You don't need to keep it. I mean, it's just a pride thing. And then he's fighting with something else, with a big giant shark. So you know we we in that sense, of course, give the shark a man versus man situation. Anyway, um riding in that struggle, I have found myself in life at times where I go, there's no one around to help me figure this out, and I have to figure this out. Whether it was at a job where all the means of people that were going to help me have just deserted me, and I'm by myself, and I have to figure out how to do this insurmountable task, or moments in the Marine Corps where they literally push you past your limits of what you think you can do to show you that you can do immeasurably more. And especially when you have the help of other people and they're also tasked with the same thing, you can really overperform what you think you can. So, there's been elements of that, being a single parent, raising two kids, making a very measly amount of money at the job that I was working my tail off at. And I had no future in sight at that job. Honestly, I was barely surviving. And it was a character defining time in my life where um, I was out of options. uh, you know, Sometimes things just happen, and you're left to pick up the pieces because of some mistakes that you've made in your life. And you have to go, well, I can see how I got here, and now I have to figure out how to get out of here. And it's an uphill battle. Now, if you're able to push through that battle, there is the saying that um, pressure creates diamonds, and that may be true. It also creates ash, and there's a lot of that too. Um, a lot of people don't make it through their conflict. A lot of people don't survive their conflict. A lot of people um, don't answer the challenge when it comes, or can't, because they don't have a support system, or they don't have people around them who love them and care about them and can help and continue to give support. Or maybe they didn't get lucky with whatever it was at their job that just turned in their favor. I mean, there's a lot of things where life could have gone a totally different direction. And it's not lost on me how lucky and blessed that I am to not only have a support system that ultimately wouldn't let me fail, um, but was willing to let me struggle to get through it to be better. And that portion of it, I think I overlooked a lot growing up. It made me bitter, but it also made me stronger. And, there's no perfect science to raising kids, or, instilling them in values that you wish they had. Um, Sometimes you get lucky and you get it right, and sometimes you don't. And people write books and they go, "Oh, I know how to do it. I did it." Okay. But every situation is different because influence and means and challenges are different. So you have to figure out what works for you. And sometimes you get it right and sometimes you don't. There is no perfect way. That's why everybody's different. Everybody has their own personality and their own hangups and their own fears and their own motivation and their own whatever you want to say. So, yeah. Now, for me personally, I am right now looking at the fact that I have a room with Legos behind me and Star Wars paraphernalia and all the childhood things that I wished I had. I'm having at 50, with a podcast with people listening, the people that care, people that are interested, people that for whatever reason are relating to what I'm saying. And, it's it is a challenge to first of all know what you want. Um, I got to a certain place in my life where the question was asked, what do you want? And that means anything. That could mean, what do you want out of your job? What do you want out of your life? What do you want out of your work versus home balance? What do you want to eat? What do you want to look like? What do you want to physically do with your body? How do you want to move? How do you want to vacation? How do you want to sleep? You know, um, when you're younger, you just rest wherever you can lay your head. And because you're young, you can sleep anywhere. You can sleep in a chair, you can sleep on the floor. Um, I remember at a certain point in my life sleeping on a bed that I'd bought at a used furniture store that was so worn out when you laid in it, you would roll to the middle because that's just how worn out that mattress was. And I didn't care. I didn't care. Didn't bother me. I could sleep in it. No problem. As soon as I closed my eyes, I was out because I'd exhausted every portion of my physical body, and sleep was not a problem. Then as I got older and I got a more comfortable bed and I had a support system of family and my wife, and things just started becoming better. Sleep became harder because my mind wouldn't shut up. My body would be exhausted, but my mind would go, hey, we still have all this stuff we want to do. And I've talked to people that are older than me, and they say it doesn't get any better because the older you get, the more you realize there's so much more you want to do, but you're nearing the finish line of your life. You're nearing the portion where the lights are going to turn out at some point. So there's a frantic nature of, but I got to do this because if I don't do this, I may not have an opportunity. So there's always this constant feeling like um, the show's going to end, and I don't want it to end. There's so much more I want to do. So we frantically look for vacations that we want to take and places we want to see and people we want to see. And we constantly regret the fact that we can't be everywhere all at once. I can't be here fixing the things I need to because I have to be at work to make money to do the things I want to do. And I can't do all of that if I want to go on vacation. I got to do that stuff in between there. And there's always this frantic, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go feeling. An example of that, Friday, I worked and had filled up all my hours at work. And they said, you're costing us too much money. Go home because of overtime. So I came home and immediately started my honeydew projects of painting the shutters. My wife had made a comment that our shutters, they're vinyl. They're just for aesthetic looks. Our shutters on the house were looking rough. They get weathered over time because we do have a lot of rain and hurricanes and that sort of thing that come through the area and just blow them off the wall. And I have repaired a few of them. I have two of them that are off of the top story room above the garage. They blew off. I luckily found them and have been repairing them. I need to reattach those. But because I'm a larger fellow now, it is not as easy to get the ladder up that high and keep it stable. My neighbor Paul offered to let me borrow his ladder, but I told him, I said, I appreciate that, but I need to paint these first. I want to paint them to make them look pretty. Now, of course, your brain goes into a Rolodex of, do I know how to paint shutters? I mean, in theory, sure. You just, spray them or paint or use a brush. Mm. Uh, now, just for fun, I looked in my garage and I happen to have a can of Rust-Oleum gloss paint. I'd bought the gloss paint in a gallon. I had bought it because at one time I thought about painting the Rambler a gloss black. I remember painting it blue and thinking, I don't know if I like this blue. I may go black. And I bought the black to touch up some stuff on the inside of the vehicle where they had some black uh, stuff that was painted. And I thought I'll just go and get a gallon because it's not very expensive. I'll get a gallon, and that way, if I decide to do this other thing, I can dilute it with some stuff and spray it over it and see what it looks like. And I never did that, but I had that gallon in the garage. Now that gallon is probably a year old, but it's also been opened one time. So I knew the inside would probably be okay. But got off work Friday. I figured I'll check it out. Popped the lid open, looked at it. I said, "Oh, this looks fine. Let me mix it." So I mixed it up, and it still looked fine. I was like, "Hmm, okay." I'd gotten a little on a paper cloth on a paper towel because I'd spilled a little bit on my hand, and I dabbed the edge of the rim, and then I brushed it with the paper towel onto the shutter that was in the garage, and I was like, "I like the look of that already." I was like, "I'm not going to get started right now, though. I did this maybe Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday." I was like, "I'm not going to get started on this right now, but yeah, I'm gonna see what my wife thinks. I think this looks good because I thought gloss was gonna look too shiny. I remember touching up one of them before, and I'd used like a flat black, and that looked horrible. I mean, it looked fine the minute I painted it, but then once it dried, I was like, it looks terry. It looks awful on the house. But I was trying to match the look of the others. With the gloss, it looks nice. It looks nice. So yeah, she liked it. I came home Friday. I thought, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and touch up these other ones and paint the ones that are on the house. And as I got my ladder set up, I realized that a few of them had come loose because of the last hurricane we had. The wind was blowing super hard and it broke the little plastic tabs that are on the inside. And I YouTubed it, looked up what to do, went ahead and repaired them, and then started painting them because I figured, hey, it's like, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I got nowhere to be until everybody gets off work because we're going to go eat dinner together. So let me go ahead and paint these. And again, it's that voice in my head going, go, 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 go. What are you gonna do? Sit on the couch? And do what? That's boring. Don't sit on the couch. We got plenty of time to sit on the couch when the weather's bad, or when it's too hot to be outside, or when it's too cold to be outside. Right now the weather is beautiful. It's like I think it was like 82 degrees. The weather was beautiful. So I said, "Hey, let me go ahead and crack this paint open. Grab a paintbrush. I need to clean it. Let me see if I need to clean it." I went outside, wiped everything down, nice and clean. I was like, "Okay, let's go ahead and paint." So I start just with a paintbrush, putting some paint on because I figured, what's the worst that can happen? If I screw these up, I can just pull them out of here and replace them. They're not very expensive for these vinyl, plasticky looking shutter things. So sure enough, put some paint on them. They look great. I was like, cool. How many windows do I have to do this with? One, two, three. There's two per window. That's only six shutters I got to paint, but I got to do both sides and I got to do the corners and the top and the bottom, all that stuff, and make sure I don't miss anything. And by that time, my neighbor walks over, Mr. Paul, and he's, just jabbering about this and that and offering, to use the ladder to help me put the one above the garage. And I was like, thank you, Paul, but I got to paint it first and blah, blah. And we just kind of talked. And meanwhile, I'm painting and it looks great. I'm like, good, cool. I like this. I got to meet a new neighbor. He walked over. Hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. My name's John. Nice to meet you, John. Nice. Okay. Again, I'm enjoying the day. It's a beautiful day. And then I get done painting those and I look around and I go, oh, well, on the sides of the garage, I got these little lamp looking things that are black, but the paint on them's faded to the point that some of them have this greeny looking stuff starting to crust over the outside of the metal. And I was like, I wonder if I put this Rust-Oleum gloss black paint on these, what that would look like. So I climb up the ladder and I start putting it on there. Looks great immediately. So I was like, okay, well, I mean, here it is only, 130-ish, 140-ish. Let me go ahead and do these lamps. So I do the two lamps. Get them done. I was like, all right, that looks really nice. And my brain goes, what else do you need to paint? And I was like, I do have some paint in this little cup. What else do I need to paint? Oh, the railing on the front steps. They're black. They could use a fresh coat because they look terrible. I know they look terrible because I've seen them the last time. I think I've painted them twice before. But I don't think I used gloss black. I think you used just a flat black, which don't do that. Just use gloss. Gloss looks better. I realize the gloss looks better at Disney World. I know this sounds silly, But we stayed at a resort that resembled New Orleans, the Royal Port Royal, I think it's called, and they had the wrought iron railing around the area, and it was done to make it look like New Orleans. And I noticed that everything was painted in a gloss black, and I thought, man, it really looks good. I was nervous to do it that color because I thought it was going to be too shiny. No, it looks great. So I go to my railing, just pulled away cobwebs, used my hands to kind of brush off the old nasty paint that had started to peel. And I just went ahead and started slapping on some Rust-Oleum. Now, the good thing about Rust-Oleum, I've used Rust-Oleum before. This is not a commercial Rust-Oleum, but I'm very happy with Rust-Oleum because it sticks to rust. It's called Rust-Oleum. It actually bonds to rust and strengthens it and hardens it. So I used Rust-Oleum on this, and of course, my railing didn't have a lot of rust. Around the bottom where it meets the concrete, there was a little tiny spot that had started to turn like rust. So I thought, well, this will protect this as well. But let me go ahead and just put a coat on. So I did one side of the railing. Again, enjoying the weather, waving at neighbors as they come by. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Hey, what's up? Painting away. I didn't need music. I didn't need anything. Just my little paintbrush and my little tub of paint. Nice day. Got it all done. Went back and made sure I didn't miss anything anywhere. Touched up a few things that I realized I'd missed. And I thought, this is a pretty great start to a weekend. I got a big project out of the way, something I was kind of dreading, something that I knew was going to take time and it was going to take the perfect kind of weather, which this is. We're getting ready to be in the summer. I mean, it's very surprising that it's not already in the 90s. Now, it's supposed to be starting next week. Summer's supposed to show up next week. But the weather was nice. I had time on my hands. I had the means to go ahead and use this paint. I didn't have to go buy anything because I already had all the stuff there. Perfect project to go ahead and knock out. Went ahead and knocked it out. No big deal. Came in the garage, got to clean up a little bit. Hey, I got a little time on my hands. Let's turn on the little music here in the garage and listen to some music. Enjoy the afternoon. Enjoy the neighbors coming by and waving. And how you doing? Good to see you. Clean up a little bit. Organize my tools a little bit more. I decided, you know what? It's been a while since I went through these little bins. Let me go ahead and clean up my washers because I got to find some washers that's going to fit when I go to put these shutters on the top of the garage. So, yep, I sat out a little table thing with some table saws and the two shutters that had flown off of the top the last time the hurricane had come. Went ahead and painted those. And then I started taking out washers out of the bin. One by one, I started looking at sizes and like reorganizing them, putting the bigger ones towards the bottom. Because as time goes on, you're looking for washers. The small ones kind of fall through the cracks and get it at the bottom. And usually the smaller ones are the ones you need. I needed smaller ones for this. But I went ahead and took all the stuff out, threw away the stuff that was garbage, stuff that I had just thrown in there over time, just, in a hurry. And this kind of looks like a washer. Let me throw it in here. Went ahead and organized all of that, cleaned it out, put it back in, put the smaller sizes up front where I could get to them easier, and went ahead and prepared the 12 screws with washers that I'm going to need to put these shutters back up. And I mean, just spending time doing that kind of stuff puts me at ease. Okay. Now, did all that. Wife came home. We went out. We had a nice dinner. Went to a local place here in town called Buddy's Burgers. Really great smash burgers. Really good burgers. Had a great burger. Got to hang out with friends and talk to them. We come home. I was tuckered because I had done so much. So I think the clock had just turned 9 o'clock and I went to sleep. Now, I woke up at 1:30 because my bed was moving. We have a thing on our bed. We got a Tempur-Pedic with you hit a button and it vibrates a little bit and it helps you fall asleep. It does it for like 20 minutes and then it turns off. But the bed was vibrating at one something in the morning. And I thought, why is the bed vibrating? And I thought, oh, I must have been snoring. I probably woke her up. She's probably trying to go back to sleep. And I was like, okay, well, the bed's vibrating. I'm going to try to roll over and make sure I'm quiet. And I thought, I got to pee. I got to get up and pee. Huh. And I'm thirsty. All right. So I got up, I peed, I had some water. I thought, I am way too awake right now. This is kind of freaking me out a little bit. Laid down, couldn't sleep. Couldn't sleep. I got up at 2 a.m. I built these two Legos that are behind me. I don't know if you can see them. I made YouTube videos. It took me 4 hours to do. So yeah, I got up at before 2 a.m. and did Legos. And again, it's that voice in my head going, "You got things to do. Come on, let's go do them. Come on, let's go do them. Let's do them." Now, my mom and my dad both have this, where they constantly are on the go and constantly have things they have to do. And I've been critical of them in the past of, why do you put so much on your plate? And I realize it's because you can. It's because you can. We all do it in different ways. Either you're built to do things or you're not. I come from doers. Both my parents are doers. Now, I realize that not everyone's situation is that way. Um, but I don't know if it's nurture over nature or what the situation is, but yeah, I'm just wired to do. And luckily, I'm friends with people that are wired to do. So, yeah, as soon as the sun come up, I have my breakfast, and I knew I was going over to help my buddy Danny with a project, and he was going to help me with a project. And we did our projects. We did all kinds of stuff. We lowered the transmission out of his Jeep. We rotated the tires in the Murano, and two of the lug nuts had gotten it's got like these lug nut um, caps. They got stripped, and I had to go to the store and get some replacements. Jonathan came up from Charleston, and we put a new air intake onto his diesel Jeep. Bobby came over and helped us, and then we swam in the pool for a while. And we did stuff. We did stuff. It was great. I was able to then relax on the couch once I knew all of the stuff that I'd wanted to get done this weekend was done. Watch a little baseball. Felt sleepy. Went to bed at normal time. Slept through the night like a baby. Feel great. Listen, I know that I live a very blessed life right now, and I am so thankful that I got to this place. And I'm trying not to feel as though I'm taking any of it for granted. Um, you're supposed to savor these moments. You're supposed to live your life in a sense of joy and presentness. And I am guilty of the fact that sometimes I am in the middle of doing something where I should be enjoying it, and I'm thinking about the next thing. And I need to stop doing that. I need to be present more often. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of good things coming up, and I am going to try to be as present as I can for all of it. So yeah, go enjoy your present day. Go make it the best day that you can. And if it's not a great day, plan your next great day. Okay. Every day you wake up is a chance for you to make it better. Every minute you're breathing is a chance for you to make your day better. Don't like what you're doing? Do something else. Plan your escape. Plan your plan. Plan your future. Plan your next thing. I got a lot of plans. Yeah. So hopefully you'll be part of it. Stick around and we'll talk about it. Okay. Come on this podcast, Zoom with me, send me messages, whatever. Let's do it. Let's be weird together. All right. Y'all take care. I appreciate y'all listening to me ramble on. Um, this is therapeutic for me. I don't know if you guys realize that, but it does help me. So thanks for watching. Please, if you haven't, take a moment to rate, review, subscribe, share this with your friends. And as always, cue the cow.
Cue the cow. Moo, baby.